So there are a couple of different cognitive costs. So if we think about hierarchy, taxonomy, we have individuals, we have group level costs. At an individual level, we have things like neuroplasticity. We go and adapt as people. We adapt very quickly to new stimulus, new environments. We make connections with data, and generally, this is how our brains work. And what we have seen to some degree has been supported by a couple of early studies, is that when people are using, and everybody talks about ChatGPT, let's not focus on that. There are multiple tools out there. It's about how you use it rather than what you're using. So if you're having a conversation like we're having now, we're going back and forth over some concepts. You're questioning, and I'm forced to think. I'm saying some things. You're forced to think, and this helps us to make connections with the material, with each other. This is basically the concept of social learning. Now, when we go back and forth with an AI entity, we should be doing the same thing, and that stimulates us to think. And the concept in education was scaffolding. So we are supported by a more knowledgeable other, that is the AI entity that has access to all of this data, and they're able to tell us things that maybe we didn't think of this particular perspective. I had 7 things and I should have thought of 8. The 8th one came to me from this AI agent. And that's a way of brainstorming, that's a way of improving and elevating your thought process. The other way is, previously I had this work to do, this task to do, this activity. I needed to produce this essay, I needed to write this report, I needed to analyze this data. And that would have previously required me to engage my brain with the materials and think of a way to synthesize findings and then communicate those findings. And for the people who are devolving all of that to the AI entity, saying, here are my inputs, give me the outputs, and then without even looking at the outputs, they just take those and give them to whoever they were supposed to give them to. In that space, what we have is almost a full shutdown of thought process. And if we have the full shutdown of thought process on a regular basis, a daily basis, with every task and activity that we are supposed to do, then it should not surprise anybody that we then atrophy in the skills, the cognitive skills, that we should have been using on a daily basis, and we are no longer doing that. So that's the individual level impact. The group level impact, whether it's a society or an organization, the longer term loss of discriminatory capability. So we've seen this all across social media, I'm sure, but as we're presented with more and more poor quality, poorly thought out information, and by that I mean I've asked for a response, whatever the first response was, I've taken that and used that as an output. That now proliferates through the entirety of a system, and you have organizations where the employees are looking at misinformation, they're looking at deepfakes, they're looking at lots of different types of content, and eventually they're either unable to say this is real and this is fake, they're not used to going to scrutinize the references and figuring out if this is something that makes sense, broadly speaking, in the context of the domain information that I have, or they're just desensitized to it and they just don't care because there's so much information out there. So we have group level and individual level effects cognitively.